Hello, hello. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, out there.
Glad you're with us this morning. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and we're glad you're with us. And Sandra, I think you're the early bird today.
Mm-hmm.
No, Keely's the early bird today.
Mm-hmm.
Keely's the first one here. She's hungry today. You're a hungry bird. Hey, Connie, I'm glad you're here. And Diaklin and Sissy and brother-in-law and Judy Jew, we've been missing you, sweetie. I hope everything's good. And Sandra, glad you're here, darling. Give us an update on your sister. And Brock Castle is here. Oh, wow.
That's good.
That's a miracle. That's a
He made
miracle
it, didn't
man right there.
Yeah.
Yes, Brother Kessler is here. Thank you so much, Brother Kessler, for tuning in. I know you're probably in the hospital, but we love you and we've been praying with you.
Sure have. A
And
lot of them, everybody have.
believing the best for you. Hey, Morgan, I'm glad you're here. Dee Dee and George and Deb, I'm glad you're here, sweetheart. Jill, you and the girls doing good? Yeah, Sissy said they're praying for you, bro, okay? And hey, Adele in South Carolina. Well, we're here for another satsang, which is where we come together. We gather to discover more and more truth. And hey, Teeny Tiny, I'm glad you're in here today, all the way from Texas. Hey, Apostle Norman, I'm glad you're here.
Good to see all of you.
Looking forward to being with you Thursday, and hope everything went well with you at that homegoing. And Sandra says she's getting better.
Good.
Wow. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you. We appreciate that. Hey, Phyllis Kendra, we hadn't seen you in a while. I'm glad you're here, sweetheart. Anyway, we're so pleased that you're with us this morning. And it's been a beautiful morning so far. And hope you guys are having a beautiful, peaceful morning as well. Let's do a quick meditation. You want to ring your bell?
Oh,
yeah, he wants to ring his bell. Let's ring the bell. Let's center in. Center in. Would you hit it for me one more time with with this one? That's good. Center in. Take a deep breath in and release it. Let all concerns, all urges go. All desires, if you can, let them go. The urge even to be free, the urge even to be enlightened, the urge to be more wise, the urge to have more, that urge for anything, let it go. You can pick it up later. We don't need any of that right now. And repeat after me if you would. There is nothing to change. There is nothing to do. There is nowhere to be. I belong to you, Lord. Everything I have is entrusted to me. All that I have is not owned by me, but belongs to you. This body, this house that I live in, the car that I drive, the job that I work on, the family I was born into, and this time, it all belongs to you. You are what I am. You are who I am. You are why I am. and you are where I am. I belong to you, Lord. Thank you for accepting me just as I am. And Father, on this day, let it not be a day spent in the mind, but a day absorbed in unity with you inside my heart. Be in my eyes and in my seeing. Be in my ears and in my hearing. Be in my mouth and in my speaking. Be in my mind and in my understanding. And so it is. All right.
Okay. Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Phyllis. Good morning, Joe and Marlon and Sue. I'm glad you guys are here.
Okay. We're going to get down to the brass tacks nails again.
Oh, boy. Let's do it.
We are all the truth of God in the earth, every one of us, whether they know Jesus in the Bible or know him at all, even an atheist is in the hand of who he don't believe exist or they don't believe exist.
It's true.
And what I've staked this on and based this on is very simple, easy. The experience of knowing and seeing life after death. In other words, every one of us that's listening to our classes now, there's a part of you that's identified with God effortlessly. No planning, no struggling, no seeking, no knocking. Let's face it. You don't have to believe in him because the belief that he exists is what you're made out of in your eternal self.
Exactly.
You don't have to go along with what I'm saying. You don't have to have any witnesses. Every one of us are eternal life beings. Mm-hmm. You must find this out. Eventually find this out to be a statement of a fact. Not hearsay, not what people said, not what the bishop, the priest, the prophets, and all the sages say. You must investigate this part of you and allow your mind or your ego to shut its mouth about the existence of Christ or God. Your brain is not smart enough. The mind is not smart enough. It thinks that it is. That it can give enough evidence of God's existence. No way. Only your heart can do this. I look at all these children in what they call it, the Brenner Hospital.
In St. Jude.
In St. Jude.
St. Jude, yes.
Jesus said, I was sick, can you visit me not? I was hungry, you didn't feed me. Oh, I was in prison, you didn't come to see me. They say, Lord, when were you in all these things? When were you hungry, we didn't feed you? Was naked, we didn't clothe you? Mm-hmm. He said, if you've done it unto the least of them, even down to those children,
you've done it unto me.
At Brenner Hospital or
St. Jude.
St. Jude. If you've done it unto the least of them, you've done it unto me. Now, Mr. Kessler, we call your body James Kessler. But when I look beyond your body and talk to what I am and who you are on the other end of the telephone, I know I'm talking to God. And God ain't done no lightning blast of signs and wonders to let me know, except for in your case, he is you surviving through this situation.
Yes.
I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you. I can't hear you. I can't talk to you or hear you except God be there in front of me. I like to tell my dog the essence of what she is. I'll take her in her chin and look at her, and I'll tell her, I see you in those eyes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I see a soul.
Mm-hmm.
I see a spirit. I see life. This life that we are, it cannot be taken away. It cannot be added to. It cannot be deterred. It cannot be misdirected. It does not grow or develop. What's blocking the clarity of what I'm saying in all of us is the mind who has set itself up as being the Lord over our bodies. Oh, it's used. It can be used. I want to exempt. I want you guys to lay down all luggage that you've been carrying about anything that you've read about God and yourself, and just go to inquisition and investigating into the definition of eternal life. Study what it is from the Greek to the Hebrew to the rooter to the tutor. Yes. And investigate this thing. And I'm going to tell you something. One of the signs that's going to happen, and I'm not trying to seduce you by saying the thing that's going to happen to you, but you will find out. You're going to find out one of the main things. If you're a Bible person, you're going to find out that some of the things that you misunderstood in the Bible will be unraveled to you. Underneath each word in any book that you see, there's an identity, there's a being behind the writing of the letters in the word. Now I'm sitting here now and I'm looking at the Lord on my left side of my wife. I can see her. I can see him. See, I'm not trying to say disregard what you've been taught over the years. I'm asking you to look beyond that. Yes. We're asking you to investigate what is it about us that puts us in the same class as God of the universe. What puts us in the same class with this Bible, with the Course in Miracles, and those that translated it? What puts us in the same family as sons and daughters of God is the eternal self.
Yes, and when you think about, and what you're saying is so it's not what you call profound, but it is just so accurate that pointing, and that's all we're doing is pointing to what more you are than your physical body. And while we kind of get, well, not kind of, we get caught up in being this physicality, this physical body, and being this human self until we have lost, and we do lose every day, many times during the day, the understanding or the seeing, the true seeing of who we are, because we get so wrapped up with the survival and like in the case of Brother Kessler, in the crisis that he just came through, the illness, the damage to his body, which we're thankful that there was no more damage than there is, and that it will recover. But when you're in pain, such as what you've been dealing with your back and all, it throws the attention into the realm of the physical, and takes your attention away from, and your knowing is it's like dampened, so that you forget that you're not just this physical body. And the crisis, the illness, or whatever loss or anything like that, it then becomes a turning point.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a young man who does yoga teaching. He said this. He said, pain is not to be resisted because it is a messenger.
Mm-hmm.
It's a messenger. And so when we're in pain, whether it be physical, psychological, or whatever, that is a messenger telling you that something needs to be corrected. It's not something wrong with you in the sense of there being a God against you. You're walking out apart from your true being. It just simply means there's a message coming to you through that pain. And so what you're saying is finding ourselves as an immortal being
Mm-hmm.
is that's the epitome. That is the goal. And finding that and knowing that and walking in it. Because if we came into this body as a fetus and we go out of this body at the time of expiration of the body, the death of the body, then we must not be the body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If we enter and exit,
Mm-hmm.
there is an us, a me, that is leaving, coming and going from this body.
There you go.
And that me is who we're talking about, is that pure essence, that purest self that you are, that highest self, that pure self, that true self, whatever you want to call it, that is who you are. And so enlightenment is just the awareness that that is who you are. That's what enlightenment is. It is not a feeling of everything being blissful. Yeah. It is a knowing that that is what I am.
I had one bliss, and I had different kinds of blisses.
Different kinds of blisses.
And blisses kept blistering themselves at me. But every time they bliss and leave.
Oh my God.
So I wanted to find out how, when the bliss is gone, how to stay home in my true identity. And it seemed like the more blisses I have, the more I had to deal with trying to hold on to them.
To the bliss.
And the bliss was blissing away from me.
Exactly. So
I just wore myself out trying to hold on to the bliss.
Yes.
You know what?
And then when you do that, you're remaining the seeker, and the seeker has to fall away.
Yeah. I mean, it's like running around looking for a bathroom. You can't find one. You're gonna have to do something, buddy. You got to work.
Put on the depends.
You got to overload. You overload something. You want to get rid of that. You're gonna have to. I'm gonna tell y'all something. You're gonna eventually find out how to live without the bliss.
Yes, and realizing without the bliss, that nothing has changed. You are still that purest essence of God.
What if I would say all the blisses that you've had, you got enough of them and you don't need anymore?
Mm-hmm.
Some of us is like going to the store, we get that buying and selling thing on us. We got to have everything and we see in the window of the stores.
Yep.
There will be maturity in all of you guys that are listening to us. But there will come a place in your life, or this life, the life of Christ that you are, that God is going to establish. He's going to establish and has already established the fact that you and him and us are standing in the same shoes.
Yes, sir.
With or without the bliss.
Mostly without the bliss.
Thank you.
But I have come to this understanding as well, that when we give up seeking the bliss or trying to hold on to the bliss, the seeker falls away. And when the seeker falls away, there's nothing left but peace. There's nothing left but peace.
The true self, the real self, has always been God.
Yes.
You don't have to flaunt it. You don't have to tell it. You don't have to preach it.
That's right.
When Jesus appeared to two of the disciples, as they walked and went on the Emmaus Road, they experienced his physical presence after the resurrection.
Mhm.
They went and told every resident that he was alive, and many of them didn't believe it.
Mhm.
54, 52 years ago, and I've been seeing him ever since.
And you know, when they were on the Emmaus Road, we're using the scriptures as a reference. So when the disciples were on the Emmaus Road after Jesus' crucifixion, it says he walked with them and they didn't even know it. Their eyes, the Bible calls it, their eyes were holden, meaning they were fixed, their attention was fixed on the crisis that they just been through, and they were in a state of grief. And so they didn't even know that God was right there with them. And I think that's what happens to us. Our eyes are holding, and I'm going to say it like this, our attention is fixed on our physicality, so much so that we don't realize, and that's what self-realization is, we don't realize that God is very present in, through, and by us.
This is what I call, in our last session, we've been saying this, it's called a collapsing of the distance between us and God.
I like what Lisa said. Lisa Renee says, we experience a quiet joy when we stop seeking.
Yeah.
That's true.
But there's something in there that keeps us going. But that's okay.
Yeah, because even if you try to stop seeking, that's seeking.
Yeah.
So it's not a doing. It's not a doing at all. It's coming to the end of the trying. It's coming to the end of the pursuit. And nothing and nobody can bring you to the end of that pursuit. That's something
that Leslie on there.
Leslie. Yeah. Good morning, Leslie.
Let me tell you something, honey. I was thinking about your dad after we talked the last time. If you go in the scriptures and find out what Jesus...
Her dad was watching with her the last time she was on.
You go in there and you'll find out that everything that you've ever done for your dad in the condition that he's been in, where you've watched over him, and everything that you did to work with your mother before she crossed over. I know that we are still in these emotional soul bodies. But let me tell you something. Ever since God showed me how to see him in everybody, every time I go past the hospital, every time I go past a building that has assistance of helping people, I look and I can tell that Christ is in that building.
Yeah.
I want to be able to testify. But you see, here's the burden with this thing. The joy of seeing the Lord is our strength. And he can appear to you like he did on the Emmaus Road. They said, and there appeared angels standing inside the tomb.
I heard that. The joy of seeing the Lord is your strength.
Yeah. After Jesus appeared to them, or two of them, they went forth and preached everywhere. The preaching of the gospel, if you're going to preach it or talk about it, it should be out of a testimony. A testimony. Not something you read, like somebody say, confess with your mouth what you believe in your heart. I got to have something more than that. This is what I'm talking about. If I told the Lord, I said, if you want me to go to these churches and stand up in these churches and speak what thus saith the Lord during those monkey mind crazy days, you're going to have to give me some kind of hardware or some kind of proof. And I said, I done used your book. I have used the Bible. I have used the word of God to everybody, King James Version. I stand up there and I tell them preachers and they pastors steady what they've been doing in the pulpit and behind closed doors.
Just legal.
Just plumb local. They looked at me like I done lost my mind. I've had them when I stood up in the pulpit. I had the deacons behind me using manipulation and power of their mind to try to shut me down. And I can turn around and tell each one of them that's doing it, who's doing it, and how they're trying to do it. And I tell them it don't work on me. Now, I used to be like that.
Yeah.
I didn't have no sense.
Yeah.
That's that man's house. That's the pastor's house. You don't go there and upset him.
And besides, it's confrontation.
Confrontation, yeah. But somebody said, "Well, you got a search warrant." I remember them search warrants in the bootleg days. Lord. I don't want to search nobody's house.
There's a form of teaching. I'm going to say it like this. There's a form of teaching that is not confrontational because it sees the ego and its actions in other people and in itself, but it does not give it any attention. When you give the ego attention, when you see it in other people, you are then acting out of judgment, and you're confrontational or defensive.
Where is the Lord of glory?
I got to go back to what you mentioned, and Sissy retyped it. The joy of seeing the Lord is your strength. When I say those words, I feel I'm full, and I feel at the point of tears because when you said that, I turned my attention to seeing the Lord right here, and when I did, it's flooded me. Those words flooded my being, and I'm so full with just those words. Just those words. If you can turn inward and see the Lord, there's joy there.
You have a history and a pertinent now truth revealed fact. Now, what is so cumbersome about this? Eliminating the gap between us and God. First of all, it's already been done. Yes. Next of all, it's being aware of it. Every time I come online here and say this, I'm deliberately taking your awareness away from separation into beingness.
Yes.
Now, when I shut down, you're going to have to find a way to keep this thing in a present, right now moment.
I remember when we were in our larger building, they had a lot more people as a congregation, and we began to teach about the ego and gave them a description of what the ego looked like. I remember that they would be running around talking to one another, and they say, "Oh, that's your ego," and everybody was pointing out other people's ego, not realizing that it is the ego that's pointing out the ego and giving it attention. And the ego likes attention. It likes attention.
Have I not been so long with you? Okay, that's pretty good. But I took it a notch further. I turned around and looked, and who I saw was me.
Yeah.
But the me that I was and who I saw was him.
Yes.
Now, you might be able to outquote me in the book. You might be able to outnumber me in the Course in Miracles. You might be able to bring up a smell that I ain't smelt yet.
Well, they could probably teach better than us.
Yeah,
too.
you probably could, but I want you to know, sweetheart. I want you to know. It's all going back to the home base. You are not going to do these things except you be convinced. I was so convinced when I met Jesus in person that I knew everybody that I went to and saw would believe it.
Yeah.
But they didn't. I got disappointed, and I do get like that once in a while in my conditioned human self. Because, sweetheart, let me tell you something.
And that we've come to realize is normal.
Yeah, that's normal. But listen, you told me you got a good old cut of that old apple pie. And I said, well, how do you like it? It's okay. Have you ever tried it? No, I haven't tried it. Go in there and get you a piece. Cut you out a slice of that stuff and taste it. Come back and tell me what it's like. I did that. I found out. The first time I did it, I didn't have no reaction. There wasn't nothing shaking. Mm-hmm. But after a while, the thing took on me. It took on me. The taste has never left. Mm-hmm. In your superconscious identity, your eternal self has got an actual panoramic experience of everything that you in Christ the Lord has been through in eternity. Eternity. In your eternal self, you are God's experience in this world, and God is your experience in his world. Therefore, we do not ever break contact with God based on the human temperament. Personhood cannot carry the weight of what we're talking about.
Yes. Can I read something quickly? Go ahead. This is called the Myth of Enlightenment. Liberation isn't something that I have and you don't. Mm-hmm. This message is not about awakened people or enlightened people passing on their understanding to others. Mm-hmm. There are no awakened people. There are no enlightened people, because in reality, there are no people at all. Mm. People who believe that they are awakened, people who say, I'm awakened and you aren't, or I see this and you don't. These people still believe in separation. I'm awakened, you're not. It's more separation than ever. Mm. In order to say that, there would still need to be a point of reference there, a me comparing itself to a you, a me that wakes up every morning and reminds itself that it's awakened. But when that whole me and you game falls away, when those reference points are no longer there, all you are left with is the mystery.
Okay.
When it falls away, you have no way of knowing that you are awakened.
Miss Keeley, let me talk to you, baby. She said, sometimes I feel like the ego is me. Well, you lost me there. But it's not. Mm-hmm. It's hard to let go of the ego. Let me share something with you, sweetheart. You are finding out that it's not your responsibility to get rid of that. Yes. Yes. All is required of anything of grace toward this is that you recognize it and see it. Mm-hmm. If it was completely into your human terminology to catch the ego at every turn, it would be the ego catching itself.
Exactly.
Take a deep breath, little Keeley. The reason why you have gone through what you're going through, the reason why you are making these question statements is because you've already found out at this distance and time in this life, you are now awake. You are awake, because if you wasn't, you wouldn't be seeing it at all.
Exactly. Yes.
So now it is a rejoicing time. The Father prunes the trees. Yes. That is a grace of letting go, no longer labor to enter in, no longer seeking, finding, but acknowledging by awareness that I am now on the right track. If it was not for God living in these bodies, we would be somewhere else. But even that does not remove God. Yes. You just can't remove God out of your life just because you don't feel nothing, you don't see something. You'll always see God. The worst thing in the world gonna see God, I'm telling you. And if God is there, you better put down on your paper, sign the contract. You walking in. You listen to me. If you whatever you're in right now, financial hurt and pain, Mr. Kessler, is nobody in that hospital but God.
Yeah,
there's nobody in that hospital that's in that bed Oh, you ask the question, well, why did he let that happen? I get to that in another chapter, okay? But the thing of it is right now, you need to see Christ in that bed, Jesus as the doctors, and he's bringing you all your medicine in your room.
Yes. And I want to speak again to Keely, because Keely, what you're mentioning is what a lot of us have trouble, we struggle with. We see the ego, we don't know, we're disturbed by what we see, not realizing that is disturbed is the ego.
Right.
And so it keeps you going around and around the mulberry bush. You're in a vicious cycle trying to get rid of itself. It's trying to get rid of itself. And what we're saying is that you are that one that sees that ego. And when you see it, you cannot be it.
Mm-hmm.
But now the reactions that you have, can you just pay them no mind? In other words, you can't move them. Can you just watch them and pay them no attention? That's where the practice comes in, is coming to the place of ignoring that the mind is bringing up, ignoring that the reactions that come up, ignoring. But then if you have to struggle to do that, then it's that same it that's trying to do that. So I'll say it like this: do as much as you can, and then when it get worn out, it'll stop. It'll just quit because it can't do anymore. So I heard a spiritual teacher say this. She said, try as hard as you can, do everything you can, wear it out, exhaust it, and when you've come to the end, you'll realize I can't do it, and that's when you'll find that enlightenment. It's not an experience. It's a coming to the end of the trying.
They heard that Jesus was still alive after being nailed to the tree.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He appeared in different forms. He appeared in different forms. He appeared to them in different identities.
Yes. Yes.
So even the ego has to bow its knee to the Christ that thou be,
because
and walk the waters known as the great seas.
Yes.
Okay.
Because even that personal sense of self is awareness. It's just a contracted sense of awareness.
It said, somebody said, watch and pray, and watch and pay no attention to the ego. Okay.
Yeah, Terry's saying what I said.
Okay.
Hey,
I want you to understand that song that says, I have some good days. Mm-hmm. I have some bad days and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I remember that song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go in and have them.
Yeah, have them.
I go to some of these stores and I can look at some of the
because it doesn't change anything, does it?
See,
we're trying to feel better.
Something
there's a me trying to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
I want to just say something to Buzz. Hey, Buzz, I'm glad you're with us today.
Buzz Jr.
He says, it does bother me when people say you're not God. I don't know what to do with that. Infinite consciousness awareness is all there is. I'm going to give you one piece of advice. You're around the wrong people. If they're saying that to you and you're in a conflict about that, then you're around the wrong people. They're not where you are, and you're not where they are. And it sounds like you're trying to be with somebody that isn't really, they don't resonate with you. And so there should not be any saying of I am God or you're not God. If that's coming up, then you're with the wrong people.
You as a Christ, I'm going to say that to you, Buzz, and watch this. You don't want everybody to see who you really are.
That's why Jesus said, tell no man.
Then there's places that you go that you'll see him and he'll show you. Do not try to get them to see him in your form. Leave it. Don't leave the place. Learn how to stay there in the place.
Yes.
So I went through a lot of this for 50 years. And I thought I really did. Buzz, I'm telling you the truth. It was miserable. When I go to work at R.J. Reynolds and then when that thing happened to me and I saw Jesus in person, that thing flipped me. I thought everybody's supposed to know. No, it's just like enlightenment. You know, you hear some of the sages say, and Muja says it too. When you start seeing these things, look like all hell break loose. Yep. Yeah, like you see your demon, your devil, and all that stuff. Sweetheart, there is right. A you that walk in full authority over everything it is that you just mentioned, and it does not sway to the right or the left. I always tell people when they say, well, sorry, you got to go. I said, yeah. He said, well, take it easy. I said, I'll tell you to take it easy. Hold it in the middle of the road, tie it down on the right side and left side. Brother Joe, you know what I'm talking about? Tie it down on the right side and left side. Now, I used to say to my uncle, hey, you got everything under control, Uncle? He said, yeah, I got it. I said, you got it tied on the right side? He said, yeah. Is it tied on the left side? Yeah. I said, if you got it in the middle? He said, yeah, I got it in the middle, and it's working too. Now, come on, take a deep breath, Buzz. You okay? That's the burden that you carry. If you fully find out what this is what is an empathicness of the Christ consciousness, you'll leave, or even I notice a lot of time when I run across people that can't see him, I go into a grief. Instantly, I go into intercession. Instantly, I pull away in my inner self, and I talk to God. That is only a sign for you, Buzz. That's a sign that some people in his day, or even in this still day, they still don't see him. And I went to the churches and I thought maybe that I tried to shout it out, Buzz. I tried to get them to see it. I preached hard, even like now I'm trying to get. It didn't work. They wasn't ready. And I'll tell you another reason why they weren't ready to see it. Each one of us, Buzz, are pieces of a puzzle. Yes. Yes, sir. And this puzzle just can't fit anywhere, but it is everywhere. Lord have mercy. I'm gonna crack my egg now. Look here. You ain't losing nothing, and you ain't gaining nothing by telling them or not telling them. See, this is the thing that I told when somebody come to my door, Buzz. They knocked on the front door. I went there and I answered. I said, yes, can I help you? We're going around the neighborhood checking to see how everybody's power source and the how much juice they're using in electricity. So we're running a special survey. Yeah. And he had this board in his hand and he wanted my information. I said, no, I don't think so. And when I looked at him, Buzz, I saw Jesus standing there, but it wasn't Jesus asking me those questions. It was him. So I said, we don't want to talk about that. So he went to the next door and he come back. And Buzz, when he come back, I just opened a can of fresh hot tail whoopie tail on him. I said, listen here, you got that pad in your hand, but I said, you didn't come here to find out a survey how much power I'm using. I said, you using that pad there as a door to try to get in my house to testify me about Jesus. And I said, I know what you're doing. And he was Jehovah's. I mean, I ain't got no wrong with that. I ain't got no problem with that. Ain't no such thing as Jehovah's. So everyone says Jehovah. But what I'm saying to you, Buzz, is that take a deep breath, sir. The reason why you're making this statement and asking a question, you do see him. And you see him more than you realize, too.
Well, I want to say this, too. And this isn't against anything you said, Buzz. But this is for everyone generally. If you are God and someone says you're not God, God never gets upset about what people think of it.
They must see him. That's why I said they can't.
Well, let me make this point.
Go ahead.
If you are God and someone says to you you're not God, God doesn't get upset about what other people think of it. So whatever that is that gets upset is not who you are.
Oh, there you go.
Cannot be who you are.
There you go. Lady called me on telephone one time, and she was talking to me about God, and she was talking about all the things of God, and she just kept on rambling off and every day, like she talking out the side of the neck, like Daffy Duck. And she just kept on going, and all I could say on the phone, Buzz, was yes, no, yeah, but I got rejected. She said, what? Then I finally got a break. I said, lady, do you realize the whole time I've been on the telephone, I haven't said anything to you but and
And we just don't see ourselves.
No.
We really don't see
and
ourselves.
I said, if you would hush your mouth just for a second, I could tell you something. She said, what? I said, yes, I said that. She said, well, I'm so sorry. I said, you okay? You just don't see yourself. You don't
That's
hear
true.
yourself.
That's true. Now, Diaklin has a good comment.
Mhm.
And thank you for reminding us of what the Course says, Diaklin. She says, A Course in Miracles says we should resign as our own teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that means to resign the ego and let God be, do, and have in us as us.
Right.
Yes.
Now,
I want to of these comments I've got to say. So Buzz says this, I'm not embarrassed to say I'm in a 12-step program. I left because of people saying that, and now go to Dharma recovery meetings. I get more out of them. That's good. That's good, Buzz.
I don't know what that is, but that's okay.
What, the Dharma meetings?
Yeah,
it's similar to what we're doing. Similar.
Okay, I never heard of it. Okay.
And deal with it in a different way than the 12-step program.
Buzz, you know what? I'm going to tell you guys something. Everything that you're going through, you remember it says this. It is no longer you that live, but Christ that lives. Okay? You are now free from the embarrassment of those experiences. But you have to find it out, and whichever way that it takes the path for you to get to this pathless path to get to see this. Oh, Brother Buzz, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm proud of you. I mean, I'm really in a good way without the ego. I'm happy you're going through it because it is a sign that the Father is mentoring you from within yourself and around those people.
It's also a sign that you are the master over this entire thing, this physical being, this mind, all of that. Otherwise, you would not even taken the initiative to go to a 12-step program or Dharma recovery. So this, you are showing that you are the master over this.
Now, I dropped this thing. I'm going to make a statement to you guys. I had to lose tab on the false Jesus or the false Christ and find the real one. And when I say that, I'm not going to do like I've seen online a lot of people do about the Course and the scriptures in the Bible. There's some that I've been listening to that will say, I don't like the Course and I don't like the Bible because it's not the real thing. It's not the original.
And everybody's against everybody.
It's like everybody got a yard with
and that's
in the ground.
And that's because everybody's trying to be right.
Yeah.
Which is all the egotistical mind.
You don't have to say a thing about Christ. You make a statement when you enter the room. See, the ego wants you to be noted that you're in the room and that you are now a Christian. Let me tell you something. I've been around people in break rooms and places where they cuss more than I do. They cuss. I mean,
we used to not cuss. We cuss a little bit now.
Oh hell!
When and this is the other thing, when you have this self-realization, a lot of the times we've been suppressing a lot of stuff, trying to live up to a holy image. And then when you have this realization that, okay, I'm already that, I don't have to try to be that anymore, I am that, then all of a sudden the locks and the the chains that were holding down some of this stuff that would have come out, they kind of loosen and the stuff starts coming out. You might have been nicer before you became enlightened because you realize you were trying to be sweet to everybody. And then once the chains fall off and you realize you already are love, you don't have to try to be loving, you are that, then all of a sudden you're not as nice because some of those times you should have spoken up and said what you needed to say. So I just want to let you know that sometimes you have this flip-flop of the kind of person you were before you had this enlightenment and the kind of person you be when you have it. It's sometimes it does that.
Okay.
Sue says, thank you, Buzz. I needed you to say this today. Yes, she can relate because her brother was in addictions as well. I had a brother who was in addictions, and he never tried to get out of it. So we appreciate everything you're saying, Buzz. We appreciate everything you're saying.
Buzz got another one coming. See there?
I don't have a problem with God or the Bible. I just think it's misunderstood. Amen to that.
Buzz.
But that's okay. I relate to Christian language myself.
If you don't have any problem with God and the Bible, and there's still some misunderstanding, that is an indication that you're on the right track.
Mm-hmm. And so we've had to, and we still do have to constantly forgive Christians for their misunderstandings, because we watched, what was that we watched yesterday? Divorce Court. There was this lady that was on there with her husband, and her husband wanted to continue with the relationship. She didn't, because before she even got with him, she felt like she was letting God down if she got with him, right? And so even before she fell in love with the guy, ended up having sex with him before marriage, which her belief was, if I do this, God is completely against this. And so I know he's not the right one because he coerced me to have sex before marriage. All of these beliefs in her head made her not even give the marriage a chance. So we have to constantly get in. And the judge said to her at the end, she said, you got a tick in your head. You need to go get some help with this tick. She said, you need some help with this tick, because it's taking you around and making you take the same thoughts. And she said, you're racking up errors. You're looking at him and you're racking up errors. You're checking them off and you're mounting them up. And the judge was so accurate with how she spoke to this young lady, because this young lady's beliefs were so distorted. And so we understand thoroughly what you're saying. The Bible and God are so misunderstood. That's why Neil Donald Walsh was led to write the book, Conversations with God. There's been so much distortion and so many misconceptions about God that it has turned a lot of people off. But it is not God or the Bible that's turned people off. It's Christians who have distorted beliefs.
Baby Keely's saying something there, Bo.
Okay. Sue, I'm gonna read it off. Sue says, speaking up takes courage. Amen to that. Keely said, I had a friend this week who told me this was a cult. She was quoting scripture left and right, but I didn't react. Okay, good for you. Okay. You're gonna run into it again.
Now, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna try to capsule what I learned from whatever every statement you guys made. We've been through it.
Yeah.
And we're not experts at this, but we just share with you where we learned something. I like peace. I've had preachers that we sit under to come to my house or her house when we were married and same with a mom and dad, who told me that I was in a cult
because our language was different.
Because we say things different. Now, if I was to be out with some of you guys and we sit at the table and we talk, I'm always observing and watching. I have the greatest fun now with people because I found out how to talk to them without being churchy or religious or whatever. I know that we get to this place where we don't want to talk to nobody. That was a time when I didn't listen to the radio in my car when I first had this experience.
I know. Oh my God.
Didn't want to listen to the radio.
That was the time we were trying to be holy.
Yeah. There is a way you can get around them. Somebody might say, "So you a preacher? What did the word say?" I said, "I don't know." Would you like to have I don't know. There's some places, and we used to think that if we didn't speak up for God, we were letting him down. No, honey, please take a rest. Don't. That's too much for you.
Yeah.
So when I'm there in the restaurant, I remember the lady come to me and I said, ma'am, I mean, y'all may not be able to do this as ladies. I said, you got a daughter at home. And I said, you've been praying for her. I said, I've been praying for her too. And I said, she has a problem with drugs. And I said, the Lord's going to fix that for her. That's years ago. I got people come out here in front of my garage when I'm sitting there sewing. And they'll stop, they'll wave at me like I'm in a parade. And some of them get out the car and say, I want to come in here and see what you're doing. But when they come in the garage door, the first thing I say to them, well, these pants I got on, I'm making them.
I don't know what you're going to do when it gets cold.
Well, that'll be another door open somewhere else.
He's a conversation piece all by himself.
But I just don't have to talk to anybody about it. I leave them alone. Mm-hmm. So they look back in the back of the basement. They saw all my earth-moving bulldozers that I make replicas of D11 Caterpillar tractors. Mm-hmm. And I said, they asked me, say, what do you do? I said, well,
You're like a mystery to them because they don't understand you. Mm-hmm. They want to understand you.
What do you do? I said, well, I did have a church in Greensboro, and I said, because of the damn panic, I said the doors locked and we shut down, had to sell all the equipment. Then they say, and some of you might be listening to me now, and they say, well, how can we get a hold of you if you don't have a church? I said, well, on Facebook and YouTube, I said, you can go on there and find us. And I said, now I'm going to caution you. I'm going to say some things that's out of the box. Excuse me. I said, I'm going to say some things to you about life after death and what happens to us. I learned how to go and come, and I can tell when I've said something to certain people and it didn't resonate. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I found out how to veer off the edge of this thing. Yeah. And loved, excuse me if I say that, and just love the hell out of them with the love of Jesus or the love of Christ. I'll be going down the hall sometime in the factory and somebody be talking in conversation. They say, Lord, have mercy, Jesus. I said, yes, you rang.
Well, let me read some of these comments, Pastor, because our time is winding up. Mm-hmm. Lori says, I see God when I see you both. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
And Keely, I want to say this, sweetheart. When someone says that you're in a cult or whatever, the definition of a cult is culture. It comes from the word culture, or culture comes from the word cult. So the culture of the group that you're listening to, if that culture is restricting you from being free, then it is indeed a cult. It's trying to control. If it's freeing you, it can never be a cult. Mm-hmm. If it's freeing you to do and be whatever you choose to be without having any restrictions, it is definitely not a cult. So whatever we say to you should not affect your faith in God, should not affect your faith in Jesus Christ. If accepted Jesus Christ, should not affect your being able to read your Bible, because we use our Bible as a reference all the time, talking about what we're talking about. So it is not anything but freeing you. So in that case, settle it in yourself and decide whether or not you want to be with that person at all. Then I want to see what Buzz is saying. He says, I was talking to someone that seemed insistent that I must have read those Conversations with God books, but I never have. That's good, because they're hearing something come out of you that's truth. That's truth.
Everybody you meet. You got more? I'm going to read some more.
Yeah, there's some more. Okay. Buzz said again, people have called me a Satanist and told me I was going to hell. Hell has gotten me to where I am now. Much happier.
Talk to me, Buzz. You're talking now, man.
Yes, hell is a great tool. All right, Judy June, she said, I love your talk. So down to earth. Feels like we've had a great time sharing these ideas over a cup of coffee. Yeah, with pumpkin spice creamer in it.
Oh, look out there.
Sunny kitchen.
Okay.
Feels like home, that sweet feeling home. Thank you so much, Judy. I appreciate that.
I love coming to your house. See up there? Oh, yes, we do.
Yeah, Laurie. Yeah.
We haven't forgot about you, honey, but we just love you, all of you. When I found out that God did not have a stick on my butt to whop me every time I go somewhere and see somebody that felt like they need to hear about Jesus, I don't mess with them. When I see them, I wait.
Yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, there are times when I go and sit down, I don't even want to talk about none of this stuff.
Yes.
Now, it seems like some people think they used to ask us in churches when we go to places to speak. They would ask my wife, "How do you live with somebody like that?" I said, "Well, you ask me how do I live with her," and I make fun out of it. But I'm gonna tell you something. I do not. I was raised up in a house, in a home, where there was a great debatism about the Bible, who wrote it, and who should drink wine and moonshine and all that stuff. I lived in it for 22 years, saved and filled with the Spirit of God, up number of years. I left them alone. I don't go in there trying to mess with people or change them. I'm not saying that you do, but you're going to settle the dust and you'll wait, and then the wisdom of God will come through you and show you who is ready and who is not. It's so easy.
Yes, yes. Now, Jill has already posted in the comments section how to give, and I've already put it up at the top. And our time is up. We've enjoyed being with you this hour and look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday night. If you would take the time to go ahead and give, you can give the pastor and I through Cash App, $A Sawyer C.
We need your help.
Or you can do through paypal.me/ACE Sawyer 72. Or you can give to Cornerstone, which we appreciate so much. Your tithes and offerings going to Cornerstone, which is also assisting us. There are expenses that the church, even though it's virtual, still has. So we appreciate your giving. That's P.O. Box 36259 in Greensboro. The zip is 27416. Or you can send it through paypal.me. But the easiest way to do it is to go to the website, thecornerstonelifecenter.com, and the buttons to click are right there on the top. Or you can text it, CLC Greensboro, to 73256. So we appreciate your giving. And I want you to say this affirmation with me right now. I am so grateful that multiple streams of income are flowing to me now.
And I'm walking in the love of God, using the love of God, and it's flowing through me freely.
Say it again. I am so grateful that multiple streams of income are flowing to me now. All righty. We're going to be back again on Tuesday night and at 7.
That's right.
And we'll be back. Pastor Norman and myself will be back, and my sidekick here, for impromptu on Thursday. We missed it last Thursday, but we're going to do it this Thursday, and it's going to be at 1:30. So I hope you guys can tune into us.
Baby doll, we wish we could spend more time with you, but if you're tuning to us each time we're on, I'll try my best to speak to the Christ in you and say something that will spark the flame, heart-burning essence of God in your soul. And I guarantee you, I guarantee you that we will talk to the Christ inside of you.
Yes.
You want to say namaste?
Namaste.
Namaste. The Christ in me honors the Christ in you. And that is without any...
Any what?
That is without any...
That is without any.
Without any.
Namaste.
Wow. I just felt to stop right there.
Namaste. Hit your bell. Have to do the other one.
That didn't sound right.
Namaste.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you guys.